Hey.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new around here, my name's Sunny and I'm a gap year student on my way to study medicine in September at Kenton Medway Medical School. If you guys didn't know, I applied for medicine twice and on my first attempt I received 4 rejections. I've reflected and these are the 3 reasons why I didn't make it into medical school the first time around, and I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes, so make sure you pay attention and watch to the end of the video. Quickly before we start though, take a look at my socials. You can find me on Instagram and you can find me on TikTok, so give me a follow and let's get into the video. The first hurdle I tripped at was definitely the UCAT. I had not done enough research into the admissions process for medicine, and so when I came to find out that I had to take an entrance exam, the University Clinical Aptitude Test, the UCAT, used by the majority of medical schools in the UK to help select their medical students, I dramatically underestimated the difficulty of this test. Through having very strong academics at GCSE level and at A-level level, I felt very confident in my abilities, and I didn't think that this would be something to stop me because I had a track record of performing above average, and so I thought this would just be the same, but little did I know. Obviously for medicine, everybody applying is of a similar, very high caliber, so they need a test to kind of separate everybody again. And this is the test to do it. This test is extremely difficult, and in my first attempt I was in the bottom 30% of applicants, and in my second attempt I was in the bottom 44% of applicants. And so as you can see, even with a prior knowledge of what to expect in this test, I still managed to score below average. This is your sign to make sure you study hard for the UCAT and you leave no stone unturned, because this test, depending on where you apply, can either make the difference between you getting an interview or not getting an interview. The better you do in this exam, the more options you have, and the more options you have, it means you can make a better decision which is tailored to you. The second mistake I made was in my university selection. So you heard me talk about that in my previous point, where depending on what university you go to, they'll use your admissions test differently. This is the same for all your other statistics. For example, your GCSE grades can be taken into consideration, your A-level predicted grades can be taken into consideration, A-level achieved grades, UCAT score, hours of work experience, all of those things can be taken into consideration before selecting who actually gets an interview. And each university uses these criteria differently. For example, Nottingham have a very holistic approach where they use your UCAT, your GCSEs, your A-level predicted, all to give you a score. If you meet the threshold, then you get an interview. Although the threshold's high, they do look at everything holistically. Whereas universities like Sheffield and Newcastle, they aim for students who have the highest UCATs basically. If you're not a high scoring UCAT applicant, it would be a waste of your application to apply to those universities. And so where I went wrong is that I didn't do enough research into the universities that play to my strength. I have very good GCSEs, I have very good A-level predicted grades, and so I should have based my application towards those, having a below average UCAT. But I made the mistake of choosing Cardiff and choosing Leicester, 2 universities who had a cut-off threshold a lot higher than I expected. And so I wasn't considered at all for those universities for interview. And also another mistake I made was applying for Keele, a university that looks for students who have a lot of work experience, and that's something I didn't have. So although their UCAT requirement was low and I was high enough, my score was high enough to pass that, my work experience was not high enough to pass their threshold to get into selection for interview. And so that's why 3 out of my 4 choices were straight no's straight away without even having an interview. But the one university which I did choose carefully, Queen's University Belfast, who have a high point allocation to GCSEs, did give me an interview because I did meet that criteria very well. And see, you have to be smart with where you apply, because you can literally have the best stats on paper, for example for the UCAT, but if you choose a university like Keele and you've got no work experience, they probably won't give you an interview. It really depends in which baskets you put your egg. The last and honestly the biggest mistake I made was under preparing for interview. To be completely honest guys, I have no idea what I was doing. I managed to secure one interview at Queen's University Belfast, and their university is brilliant for medicine. But for the life of me, I could not tell you what was going through my mind when I was trying to prepare for that interview. I don't remember searching for question banks. I don't remember writing out questions and answers. I don't remember going through the questions every day, making sure I understand my answers and that my answers are top quality. And that's what I did the second time around, and I was comfortable in all 3 of the interviews I secured. But the first time around, I was a mess. It was honestly a traumatizing experience, and this was due to my dramatic lack of preparation. And this is one thing you cannot afford to do. You cannot fumble the bag at the last step. All you can do is prepare. But failing to prepare, it's like saying you don't want to go. And that's literally what I did. But you guys can't make that same mistake. I'm going to be releasing videos on how exactly to prepare for interviews, so you guys can hopefully be as comfortable as I was in the 3 interviews I secured for 2022 entry. But I honestly hope that none of you make the same mistake that I made the first time around, because yeah, that was my place in medical school to lose, and I lost it. But yeah guys, that will be all for today's video. Please like the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.